A very warm good afternoon and welcome to everyone to today's webinar titled Accelerate Digital Transformation in GIS for Land Mapping and Urban Development Using Drone Technology and Data Analytics, hosted by the Association of Geospatial Industries and sponsored by our member company, Asteria Aerospace. On behalf of AGI, I extend my gratitude to all our speakers, attendees, and my co-organizers from AGI and Asteria for coming together for what I'm sure will be a most relevant and engaging session for us all. We are joined by AGI Vice President, Mr. Deepak Avari, as today's session chair. Mr. Avari is also the Director of Strategy and Development at Seacon Private Limited, one of India's leading geospatial and multidisciplinary engineering consulting companies. He has previously spearheaded strategy and operations roles at various corporate organizations and brings his astute business development acumen to AGI's leadership. With that, Mr. Avari, I hand over today's session to you.
Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you for a nice introduction and a warm welcome to all our members and speakers who have joined us today. And I'm sure this is going to be a very engaging conversation. So, a brief introduction about AGI. We are an association body, that is, we represent the interests of geospatial industries of India. We act as a bridge between the industry and the government of India and the academic institutions. So we engage in a conversation on behalf of our members. Our interest is to grow the geospatial industry and also the interest of our members. For example, we are in touch with the academic organizations so that the future output of these academic organizations is in trend with the industry. We are in touch with the government of India. So in case of upcoming projects, they are also sensitized to the geospatial needs of the country. Having said that, I thank Asteria Aerospace for this wonderful seminar, and I really thank, because this is the need of the hour and this is what we are looking at also. Before going forward, I'll just try to lay some ground facts, because as geospatial professionals, we solve problems, and we need to understand the problems better. We need to appreciate them better so that we can come out with relevant solutions to them. So I'll just give you some brief statistics, like why is and I'll rather take a couple of steps back, and we will end up with the union budget of 2024. Number one is agriculture. Agriculture contributes to around 15 to 17% of the GDP. You might say it's not really much, then why are we really bothered about it? But 55 to 60% of our workforce is actually dependent upon agriculture. Now, when we say 55 to 60%, that's actually 360 million people. That, if you can't understand these huge figures in millions and crores, that's the entire population of USA and Nepal put together. So we are trying to address the problem which is affecting such a large population of India. What is the problem? The problem is access to credit. I'm just trying to narrow things down over here. Access to credit. When we say access to credit, we all know what happens when we go to the bank. We go to a margin, we go to a sarkar. When a farmer goes to any of these organizations asking for money, the first thing you have is what is the collateral security you have. So he has to have property records, land records. So what is wrong with the land records now? Land records have a 1,000-year-old history. Not thousand, maybe thousands of year-old history. Right from the English, the Mughals, and the Indian emperors before that, they were engaged in land records. Well, I'll not say everything is hunky-dory, nor I'll say anything, but one fact again is 66% of the civil cases in India are because of land disputes and land records. They are connected to the land records. The recent statistics which have been released by Survey of India is also 25% of the cases solved by Supreme Court of India, not Survey of India, sorry, Supreme Court of India, they relate to land records. So having said that, now land records is not such an easy subject also. Now we all know land is a state subject. We also know India has 29 states and union territories, and we have various, a Marla in Punjab, a Biga in West Bengal, and so many other things. We call a Kasra, a Satbara. These are all the product of our these are customs and usages which have come since a long time, right? Now, having said that, when we talk about this, then add to this, we have some more complications now. We get in the northeastern states, for example, where we have a shifting cultivation. There are no land records, for example, meaning they you you cut down the trees, you take it for your land, you occupy the land, farm it, then move again. So India is not a country; it's a vast subcontinent with all this. And this is, I'm just trying to place the the volume or the quantum of problems which is facing the land records in this country. So, having said that, I'll introduce you to a little background in the recent history. That is the Swamitwa scheme. The government of India started Swamitwa, that is through Survey of India and the Ministry of Panchayati and Rural Development, this scheme in 2020. Swamitwa, eh, I'll just spell out the brief. That is survey of villages and mapping with improvised technologies in village areas. That is Swamitwa. The object of this is to survey the Abadi villages. Abadi is the that is the populated area in the villages, and to give these villages property records. The IT, that Swamitwa, is improvised technology. This improvised technology, as we speak, is basically meant for two things. One is drone-based surveys. Never in the history, never in the history did we have a technology which was so cheap and so replicable and so can be scaled up as drone surveying equipment. Added to that was the cost equipment which was put in by the Survey of India. Now, both of these put together, it formed the core of the improvised technology. And to its credit, I mean, out of the 6.62 lakh villages, the drone surveys have been completed in almost 3 lakh villages. And 1.06 lakh property cards have been distributed. This was a fantastic achievement. Whatever, all the problems put together and everything, 1.06 property cards. You might have seen the Honorable Prime Minister also who came, who distributed these cards. So, and these cards are showing their effect. These can be monetized by these particular holders, access to credit. So the income of the farm holder, income of the people who stay in the villages can increase. Having said that, I'll take you, now we come to the current budget, that is 2024, which is very, very ambitious regarding the Bhu Aadhaar part of it. Aadhaar, we all know, each one of us in India, we have a unique identification number. And the same has been attempted to give each number to each unique identification number to each and every land parcels in India. An estimated 600 million land parcels are there in India, out of which 60 million have already been given an ALPIN number. ALPIN number is a unique land identification parcel number, which is called the Bhu Aadhaar right now. So even if you look at it from that way, we have 140 million land parcels who are yet to be drone surveyed. ALPIN number is supposed to be given, and more importantly, they are supposed to be geo-referenced. Having said this, I'll take you to my next speaker. And before that, I'll just request all the attendees, we have a chat box here. Please try to make it as interesting as possible. Please don't hold yourself back. Please ask questions. Please keep on typing the questions, and we will take it forward as soon as we get the time. And my next speaker is the Director General of Survey of India. And thank you, sir, for joining us. He has been, that is Mr. Pradeep Singh. He's the Deputy Surveyor General of India. He has played a significant role in advancing the nation's surveying capabilities. With over 15 years of experience in leading Survey of India, he has been instrumental in driving the organization's momentum forward. And this is one of the oldest organizations in India, Survey of India, right? And to steer Survey of India towards the new dimension of geospatial technology, digital transformation, my compliments to you, sir. That's not really an easy job. I thank you for joining us. Please enlighten us with your thoughts. Over to Mr. Pradeep, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deepak, Vice President AGI. So I will just start with the environment, the conducive environment provided by Government of India for thriving this geospatial sector in the country. So all of us are aware that prior to February 2021, there were restrictions, licensing, and other stringent protocols for map making. not only for industry, but for government agencies also, including Survey of India. So geospatial guidelines were notified by government in Feb 2021, which was a true game changer. And with these guidelines, the geospatial sector was completely liberalized, and the geospatial data and geospatial information was democratized. And as a follow-up to geospatial guidelines, Government of India came up with National Geospatial Policy in December 2022. And this comprehensive policy document has laid down a clear roadmap, a clear blueprint for building a robust geospatial infrastructure in the country. So if we see the National Geospatial Policy document, the government has spelled out its clear vision to make India a world leader in global geospatial space with the best in the class ecosystem for innovation, and to develop a coherent national framework in the country, and leverage it to move towards digital economy and improve services to the citizens. So with the coherent national framework, we mean that now government has defined within a single policy document the entire framework for geospatial information management arrangement at the national level as well as at the subnational level, that is at the state level. So having geospatial data production and development committee as the apex body within that governance framework, with so many responsibilities to steer the policy implementation, to see that all the aspects of national geospatial policy are implemented, and at the same time, whatever geospatial tasks are undertaken by the government, they have to invariably involve the geospatial industry, for whether it is for acquiring the geospatial data, for data processing, for providing various solutions, geo platform, and all other services and applications to different users and agencies. Then to enable easy availability of valuable geospatial data uh, to the businesses and the general public and users, and to have a thriving geospatial industry in this country, which otherwise was hindered by the restrictive regime in the country. So if we see further in detail the document, we have targets also defined. For example, the Survey of India has been given different fundamental themes which are core to geospatial data generation and management in general, such as maintenance and upgradation of geodetic reference frame with best and latest technologies, as well as following the global best practices. Then generating ortho-rectified image at a very high resolution and having elevation information again at a very high resolution based on the latest sensors and platforms available for data acquisition. So for like the if we see the core fundamental geospatial data themes in the national geospatial policy, for which responsibility has been assigned to Survey of India. So for that, Survey of India has already undertaken so many initiatives, like continuously operating reference station network is in place, which is fundamental to acquiring very high resolution and accurate geospatial data. Similarly, for generating elevation information at higher resolution with higher accuracy, Survey of India is developing the geoid model wherein we can convert the GNSS-based heights into orthometric heights, which are required for all the engineering applications and planning infrastructure in this country. Other aspects of national geospatial policy are to enhance the capabilities, skills, and awareness among all the agencies, users, industry to meet the future needs of this country to build a robust geospatial foundation infrastructure. Then now I will come to the budget, which was initially introduced by the Vice President AGI. That for the first time we see that at the top level within the government, there was a mention of like land reforms and related to uh, land and land use in the country, ranging from their identification to planning and potentially drawing from multiple domains. So this is I'm reading exactly from the news which was there in the Hindu in July 2024. So the finance minister said that land-related reforms and actions both in rural and urban areas will cover land administration, planning and management, and urban planning, usage and building bylaws. So, and according to the finance minister, these activities will be completed in coming 2 to 3 years with appropriate fiscal support. So that is why, see, now there were guidelines which were notified by the government, the National Geospatial Policy, which is a comprehensive roadmap for future development of geospatial sector. And then the government mentioning or emphasizing on the land reforms, including urban planning, in the budget for the financial year 2024-25. This shows the seriousness of government at the top level. Now, if we see within the country in last 3 to 4 years, how the geospatial sector has evolved, and also how we have used the drone technology in various government projects in coming up with a very high resolution data to be required for different applications. So one of which Mr. Deepak just mentioned about the Swamitva program. So if we see, as you mentioned about the agriculture sector, wherein 55 to 60% population of this country depends upon the agriculture. Now, development of agriculture sector is one of the important component of the government of India vision of Viksit Bharat of year 2047. So it only shows us the figures like 55 to 60% of population depending on agriculture means that unless we develop the agriculture sector, we cannot think of having that vision of 2047. So what we need to do, obviously we need high resolution geospatial data with sufficient accuracy, which can meet different requirements of the agriculture sector in many applications. So one of the applications was like access to credit. So geospatial has very much role in access to credit to farmers also. And just for information of everyone that under Swamitva program, uh, why it was conceived, because the Abadi areas or the rural habited areas in this country, they were never mapped in the history of India. Even after independence also, few states had mapped these areas, but most of the states never had thought of mapping these areas, therefore keeping a huge population out of the formal land information system. So under Swamitva scheme, we had identified drone as a suitable platform for mapping these rural Abadi areas, uh, having size, say the average size we have calculated as about zero point 0.3 square kilometer to 1 square kilometer. That is why drone was chosen as a suitable platform for acquiring very high resolution images and then using photogrammetric processes. High resolution ortho-rectified image was generated, based on which land parcel maps were generated, and then record of rights were issued to the rural citizens after the dispute redressal or no objection process as per the mandate of various state governments. And the results of this record of rights distribution to rural citizens based on drone based mapping, it has resulted in a lot of benefits. Like earlier, in absence of having any document of the property, the owner of the property was not able to get the proper valuation of their property, so they were not able to leverage this property for any financial benefits or even for selling their property. So this is one of the benefits. Then disputes related to land can also be reduced when we have a proper documentation to be proved in civil courts if such disputes arises out of the land issues. Now regarding urban mapping, like today's topic, which is accelerate digital transformation in GIS for land mapping and urban development using drone technology and data analytics. A very apt topic hosted by Association of Geospatial Industries. I would just like to mention that like Ministry of Urban and Housing Affairs, they are also conceiving to have uh, to generate digital twins of some of the towns in the country. Similarly, Department of Land Resources, they are also collaborating with Survey of India for uh, 3D mapping as well as high resolution mapping of some towns in this country. And all this has come out as a decision coming out from the budget announcements for the financial year 2024-25. So, digital twin, we all know a virtual representation of physical asset that enables users to visualize it, check the status of the physical infrastructure or the physical asset. We can perform analysis, we can generate insights, and we can predict and optimize its performance for the benefit of social and economic objectives. In India, we have been using to some extent 3D models for quite some time, but we can appreciate that the 3D models which we are using, those are the static models, and the need is to come up with digital twins which are directly connected to multiple data sources, and then we expect these digital twins to evolve with the time, and they become a system where there is continuous interaction between the physical environment and the digital twin or the metaverse for receiving updates continuously so that its performance is improved over a period of time. So for urban mapping, if we see, there is a need for now using the latest geospatial technologies, sensors, and drone is one of the suitable platform for mapping urban areas, like having oblique cameras, even combined with LiDAR sensors if you want to have uh, more rich data in terms of capturing terrain directly from the ground. So all these technologies can be used for urban mapping, and digital twins can be much more beneficial for efficient urban planning and making more interventions in the future based on the uh, uh, data analytics coming out of the digital twins. And if we see globally also, digital twins are rapidly being embraced by the global geospatial information community as a means of enhancing and optimizing the real world by monitoring and simulating scenarios that can mitigate various risks. And it will also increase the resilience of the physical infrastructure, and will also allow near real-time information intervention or more evidence-based decisions in near real time by the government agencies and other agencies or local bodies. At the global level, if we go through the documents which are published by the United Nations Committee of Experts on Global Geospatial Information Management, uh, they have also acknowledged that now if we see the future geospatial information ecosystems, it is almost impossible for effective urban planning to take place without the availability of sensors, image capturing at very high resolution, processing, and data analysis technology. So drones with different kind of sensors on board can be suitable for data collection supported by robust data analytics, which is again driven by geospatial artificial intelligence that can really help in building very good digital twins, then which we can gradually evolve into a very good and good performing digital twins for urban planning and interventions. Now, if we see, and we all have noticed in the last 3, 4 years, the geospatial technology ecosystem in this country, or we can say the utilization of geospatial technology within the country last 3 to 4 years has shown maturity at a good pace, and we all can hope that this effort of government and industry should enable us in coming up with digital twins for our urban cities and towns in near future. So these digital twins will enable the transition from simple digital representation of urban infrastructure to monitoring and simulate scenarios related to many applications, including climate change and flooding events, to more complex representations that can be modeled, simulated, and predictability of these digital twins. Uh, so some of the benefits which we read across the documents which will come out of these digital twins. First, the digital twins are an important component of future geospatial information ecosystem. So digital twins will improve visualization. They provide us interpretation very quickly, and they will greatly enable the socio and economic applications and its benefits, and various insights and actionable interventions based on the evidence coming out of these digital twins, which will be continuously updated by getting updates from different sensors and the continuous interaction between the physical environment and the digital twin. So that is from my side. So thank you. So that is my understanding that how we can accelerate the digital transformation in GIS for land mapping and urban development using drone technology and data analytics. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that wonderful discourse. Seriously, because GIS professionals, GIS community, we need course corrections, and we really thank you for actually getting out so many other facts. Seriousness of the government in actually in adopting geospatial technologies to ease the life of the common citizen, especially the agriculture-based farmers, laborers, and the agriculture economy, rather to be specific, and to get out the importance of digital twin in the Viksit Bharat scheme of things. And frankly, sir, after hearing you, this is what I mean for the geospatial industry and the geospatial professionals. I would say we are just scratching the surface. I mean, we have a long, long way to go, and that's really good news for all of us who are gathered here today. And especially for that excellent fact which you got out for one thing, that is the Abadi areas in Swamita, it was never mapped before. Not only before independence, we are talking about earlier than that, because I mean, you see earlier the focus was on land revenue, how much more can we extract out of it. But right now, our focus is to give something back to the owners of the land and monetize this particular land through property records. That's excellent. And your discourse on the digital twins, excellent. And now
Thank
for
you.
our next speaker, Mr. Pradeep. Mr. Pradeep is currently working as the General Manager, Business Development, Enterprise Solutions at Asteria Aerospace, specializes in drones and drone-based services. I think after the problem statement so eloquently given by Mr. Pradeep Singh, we now need to know about how we go about things. How will we go about actually solving this problem? And Pradeep here with his background from ESRI, from Rolta, and his 22 years of experience, he's an excellent gentleman, excellent professional. Please take us through your presentation, Pradeep. Over to you.
So thank you so much. Thanks for that sweet introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. To carry on with what my predecessor, the speakers, and sir has uh, mentioned, the drone technology, when it's in its implementation, took off with the drone rules coming into it. It's eased out a lot of the focus that's coming into and the deployment of the drones across the various projects, especially projects like Swamitva coming in now, even in the urban segment that has been implemented. Now, with the unified rules, drone and drone-based information has become a part and parcel of the digital transformation plans because of the ease of data collection, the opening of the regulatory compliances, and also producing a very fine-scale data that will go into the planning processes. Uh, some of the best practices that have come in is, of course, the conjunction of the course network of Survey of India with the high resolution DGPS points that we are going to do. the integration of the oblique capabilities and of another data image capture capabilities for the built-up area, which will be core to our the digital twins, especially in the built-up areas, the urban areas coming in. The integration of the lidar data that's going to come in, which will add further value and fine scale information along with the traditional orthophotography. And this entire thing now, because the systems and the overall geospatial ecosystem has developed and become more interoperable. So these data will now flow into the larger geospatial and GIS applications, which can seamlessly get into a land records kind of an application or a property records applications and enable the entire workflow of approvals, of updations of the entire records. Now, when these things are happening, drone data being very heavy, the leveraging the cloud becomes inevitable. And the cloud-based planning, capturing analytics is what will be driving the next phase of the digital transformation as regards to the drone technology adoption is concerned. Now, some of the important components that we have talked about, the course network with the DGPS increases the accuracy, which is very critical, especially when we come to the land records part. The ability to capture the rooftops through the ortho, which will help with quick uh, evaluation and a census of the built up area. And this can go as an input to a lot of planning, where we have seen replanning in certain congested areas coming in, or when we are talking about now the urban remodeling with the 3D models and digital twin coming in, this kind of a input will enormously increase the value of those drone inputs. An example of the oblique imagery, adding value captured through the drone equipments. So I request now Neil to further take us through the overall drone workflows and the requirement for the new solution, the innovative approaches that would be required to further enable the digital transformation based on drones and the digital analytics.
Okay. Can you hear me, Pradeep? Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Pradeep sir, for first setting the context of how the government has been using innovative technology like drones and course network and other evolving technologies on such a large scale. And honestly, I think the scale of usage of such technology is unprecedented worldwide. I think India has actually taken the lead in deploying, drones and other such technology at such a large scale for such a societal impact, which is, has been discussed before. So, and the government continues to support, the use of geospatial technology for other applications like now agriculture and urban mapping, which will really transform, these operations. Pradeep has just touched upon, how some of the data which is being captured by drones, automosaics, 3D models, etc. And it's true that drones have evolved, drone technology has evolved in a significant manner over the last 5 to 6 years. Also, the regulations have evolved to be allowed to operate drones in the field with such freedom as was not possible before. But really, I think the technology has come a long way, and which has allowed us to start using it for, these kind of applications. But still today, there are a number of challenges, I would say, for drone data capturing, management, and the entire workflow, which is making it a little difficult to scale it in a cost-effective manner and a time-efficient manner. Um, I would say that Asteria is also a drone manufacturer and a drone solution provider for certain applications. We have also worked with the Survey of India under the Swamitwa scheme and have been mapping, villages under that scheme in a few states. And we have on ground faced a lot of these challenges, and we have thought about how we can solve some of these challenges and make drones more easier to use and make drone data management workflow much more simpler than what it currently is. So just to start with, I'll just like to highlight some of the challenges which exist today in terms of scaling drones. uh, when we talk about deploying drones in the field to capture geospatial data, whether it is imagery or LiDAR, if you're doing it as a one-time activity, uh, it's definitely going to give you a quick return on investment. But when you have repeated activities, when you are deploying a large number of drones on the field to capture, data across a large land area, or you are doing it across time, let's say capturing data over one site, but doing repeatedly over time, you need to have an organized way to, manage this entire workflow and orchestrate it. Some of the challenges that we have seen is that when we're deploying a large number of drones in the field, and this has been true for, let's say, Samito scheme or other land record mapping schemes, it's very difficult to plan and monitor drone flights on central bases. A lot of the times we see a lot of WhatsApp groups being formed, or project managers tracking things on Excels, and it is difficult to know what is the on-ground truth, whether a certain area has been captured, has it been captured accurately. You have a large number of drones and pilots on the field. How do you monitor such a fleet and make sure that they are operating efficiently? So there is kind of an inherent gap in terms of monitoring drone flights at scale. The second large problem is drones capture a large amount of data, right? Like there'll be GBs of data which is captured in a single flight, and when you have multiple drones performing multiple flights per day, there'll be hundreds of GBs of data which you need to transport it to your back office for processing purposes. Ultimately, drones are a tool to capture raw data. This has to be processed enough to give a final output, and which has to be further analyzed to provide the business insight. Currently, the processes which are involved are, capturing data on SD cards, on hard drives, and then shipping these hard drives across states, to central office locations where this data is to be processed and stored. And as you can imagine, this becomes very complex task of securing this data, of making sure that it, reaches uh, and in an integrated manner, for processing purpose. The third challenge is in enforcing quality control. While we have seen definitely a lot of improvement in the sensor technology and GPS, PPK GPS, RTK GPS, which drones have been using, um, the quality control issues only come up once we start processing the data, and then we realize that let's say some data was missing or some data was not captured properly. Maybe the cameras were not in focus. Maybe the environmental conditions made it difficult to capture the data of the right quality, and then it has to be rejected during processing, and then the flight has to be reflown, and all of this takes a lot of time, and you'll have to increase cost to deploy your pilot and drone at the field again to capture the data, which is quite time consuming. The next thing is, as Sir also mentioned, we use photogrammetry to process drone data, and there are specialized software which are required and specialized, GIS professionals involved in processing this data, uh, as well as high compute workstations which are involved in processing this data. And at certain point, it becomes difficult to scale it without adding a lot of cost. Uh, Also, there are a lot of different tools that we need to make use of to to process the data. There might be one tool for geotagging the data, another for processing it, another for analyzing it, and stitching all these tools together becomes a nightmare in itself. Lastly, the data which resides usually is residing in either network drives or hard drives, uh, the processed outputs, and it becomes difficult to share this data to other stakeholders involved in the project, or maybe if you want to make it available at a larger scale to the public, unless you kind of host it on the cloud, it becomes difficult to share it, and the data stays in a single drive location. All of this you know comes with security risks and compliance risks. About data security also, when we come to drone flights, there is regulatory compliance that we need to maintain, and currently there's a lack of visibility that a central project management team has on certain aspects of compliance. So, at Asteria, what, when we've started facing this, and, when we started deploying drones at scale over the last few years, and over the last 2 years, we've kind of tried to reimagine the workflow of drone data management, right from capture to reporting. And, we identified a few needs at each stage of this workflow that would make it simple, while increasing the security, making it more scalable and efficient. So right from planning the flights, there's a need for a centralized, like I said, centralized project monitoring, as well as scheduling and planning of flights for, field personnel, for drones and pilots. When we are flying the data, we need to have an automated quality control check so that data can get rejected right at that stage itself. And if a reflight needs to be done, it can be flown when the equipment is on at the same location. Thirdly, from capturing the data to processing the data, there has to be a simplified and secure way of transporting this data, and as well as a scalable processing available, so that we can process a large amounts of data with minimal expertise. And lastly, in terms of collaboration, we need to be able to share this data widely to different stakeholders of the project, whether they're 2D outputs, 3D outputs, as well as collaboratively work on them, for certain analysis purposes, and reporting purposes. And lastly, there has to be a way to be able to use, AI ML algorithms on such data sets so that we can automatically extract business insights in near real time rather than having to manually, let's say, do a lot of the analysis. So considering these needs of the data management workflow, at Asteria, we have developed some solutions to this, and I'd like to spend the rest of the time talking about the solution that we have developed indigenously to meet these needs. And what we've come up with is a platform. It's a cloud-based platform called Skydeck, which aims to simplify and orchestrate this entire workflow of drone data management, right from planning flights to actually getting the insights from the data which the drone captures. And I'll just play a short video so that you can have an overview of this solution. I will go into a little bit of more detail in the later slides. So Skydeck allows you to streamline the data capture from drones. It allows you to process drone data directly on the cloud without having to take the data on any hard drives and manage it. Of course, being on the cloud, you can share the data and interact with it to any stakeholders which could be on the project, as well as run analytics on the data sets, to be able to extract useful information and report the same. So I'll just go to the next slide here, just to give you a little bit more detail about the workflow which is involved in Skydeck. So Skydeck starts with a project management module, which where we can add fleets of drones and pilots and be able to manage that fleet. Not only that, we are taking the flight planning, which usually happens on the field, to the to a central location. So a project manager who has the details of what area has to be covered with drones, and who has a fleet of drones and pilots, can centrally plan how these flights need to be executed, and can push this flight plans to the pilot app, and the pilot just needs to basically execute that flight plan, and upload the data pertaining to that flight. This allows project managers to have complete visibility of the planned flights and the executed flights, what has been captured, what has not been captured, etc. And also allows certain other features in terms of compliance, etc. Whether to be built into these kind of workflows. Uh, Once data is captured, the pilots can directly upload it to Skydeck, uh, which is where the data can be processed to provide 2D or 3D outputs. It can be DSMs, DTMs, orthomosaics, or 3D models, depending on the use case. And these workflows can be triggered, by analysts just with a few simple clicks, without having to really know details about the photogrammetry process. And the data will be turned around in a short amount of time. Once the data is processed, people can interact with the data. They can share the data to other people. They can annotate on the data. They can export the data to other GIS platforms. And Skydeck, for example, has an integration with QGIS. You can now take the data from Skydeck directly into QGIS, and analyze the data and send it back to Skydeck as well. So it allows for a lot of different kinds of workflows, which make sure that the integrity of the data is maintained in one place, which is in the cloud. And since it's on the cloud, anyone with any device can open a browser and actually access that data, as long as they have the proper permissions to do that. Also, we have a certain pre-built AI and ML models, to generate insights from the data. So we have a few starting modules, which we'll briefly talk about, and we expect more will be built, as more data sets are available. And lastly, also, we can generate comprehensive data reporting in terms of either for project management or on the insights that can help with stakeholders to make quick and informed decisions about the project. So to give you a little bit more detail about the data processing capabilities, like I said, the data is directly uploaded from the field to the cloud, and there is automated checks at the time of upload to make sure that the imagery which is captured meets a certain level of quality, and can inform the pilot if this captured data is not up to the mark. So a reflight can be taken, or if there is any data which is missed, which was supposed to be captured as part of that flight plan. Currently on the cloud, we can process up to 20,000 RGB or multispectral images simultaneously. That is as part of one data set. And of course, you can run multiple data sets, which have this kind of scale. There's a fast turnaround time. Overnight, we can process about 25 square kilometers of data on the cloud. This is, without anyone having to spend any time to monitor that. The photogrammetry algorithms will automatically run and process that kind of data. And of course, there is no upfront cost of investing in processing workstations, etc. As you process more data, the usage will scale up, and the cost scales up accordingly. You don't have to spend upfront on investing in high performance workstations to process drone data, etc. I will quickly go over the product demo actually, so that we have okay, we'll I'll first run to the data processing workflow and then give you a quick overview of the solution. So in terms of data processing, um, I've already talked to some of the challenges that we have currently. And so what SCADEC allows you to do is from the pilot's application, which they use to fly the drone, they can directly upload the data to the cloud. Like I said, there is automated checks in terms of certain parameters which we have identified that are useful for measuring quality. And once the data is uploaded to the cloud, it can be stitched automatically to generate 2D outputs or 3D outputs, and then the data can be interacted with in a number of ways, either annotation or digitization work, or be able to run some models like watershed analysis, etc. You can easily, of course, invite anyone to your site and be able to share your data to that particular stakeholder. And all of this is access controlled. So, for example, uh, pilots have a certain role in the workflow. They are only allowed to execute flight plans and upload data. They won't have access to processing, etc. Project managers can have access to project managing and monitoring, and analysts can have access to data and processing tools. So I'll just spend about 5 minutes just walking through a demo uh, of the solution. So I'd just like to also re-emphasize that this platform has been completely indigenously developed by Asteria based on our experience in terms of the challenges faced for drone data management. And also, Skydec is hosted, on a METI compliant cloud, so that there is all of that security which is available. So I'll not go through this whole video, but just like to briefly talk through some of the modules which are present. So like I said, there are different modules which are available for different types of applications, and we won't cover everything today. But someone who's into drone project management and monitoring, can set up drones, can set up pilots, and they can set up schedules for these pilots, as well as be able to schedule projects, flights, and once you've scheduled that, you can also monitor that because this is connected to the pilot app which pilots are running to fly these drones. So we can very easily look at what flights have been done, what we had scheduled, what are currently underway, what have been passed, what have been failed, and all of that data is available in a centralized manner. This also in a few clicks, project managers can actually plan the drone flights directly on the cloud and then push these flights out to the pilot so that they can execute it. This also gives indication of whether this is a huge challenge for drone flights. You don't want to fly in a bad weather condition. So when you're scheduling a flight, it will give you prediction of the weather, whether it is good to fly, and you can use all of that for planning and the project successfully. So once flight plans are generated, they can be pushed to the pilot, and the pilot will use the same plan for executing it. This also gives you capability to make sure that the pilot is only flying where they have been told to fly, and they're only capturing the data which they have been told to capture. So from a compliance perspective, all of that data is also available. We talked about the processing workflow. Some of the tools which are available for analysis, we can easily measure, of course, areas, volumes, and do annotations on the data which is captured. So measure elevation profiles, for example, for certain applications, which that might be important for. Be able to measure volumes, or areas, on the process data. And also with one click, be able to also view the 3D model of that data, which, you can use to further analyze it. We are also currently, this platform does not process LiDAR data, but we are looking to add that in the roadmap and have it ready by the end of the year. Not only that, we also, of course, have access to all the raw imagery which was captured from the drone. So, with every data set, you will also have access to the raw imagery which was captured, and you can use that for certain kind of decision making as well. For projects where there is a history of data to be captured, we can also look at and compare data which was taken previously to data which is available today, and be able to kind of see what changes have happened on a certain data set over time. So I will just skip through this in the interest of time. And yeah, so some of the analytics tools which are available currently, and we are continuing to add this. We can automatically generate contours. We can generate watershed of an area which has been captured. We have a rooftop segmentation, as Pradeep showed before, and we have certain oil and gas and agricultural kind of analytics also on some of the data sets, and we are continuing to add more analytics as we see the customer requirements. Lastly, yes, it's as easy as inviting someone to the site and be able to share that data with them. Like I said, all of this is access managed and controlled. So a lot of this, there's a lot of security available in terms of who can access, and there's audit trails available of who accessed, who edited the data, etc., which you can make use of. I will probably stop this demo here, and just in the last 2 minutes, maybe just talk about some of the industries which the benefits of Skydeck, which we have seen in some industry applications. So in terms of GIS survey and mapping, we have seen almost 50% time saving in terms of completing large scale survey projects when we use a cloud solution like Skydeck, and be able to reduce the time taken from capturing the data to processing the data to less than 24 hours, as the data is directly uploaded from the field. In construction, we have seen and time, like the time which someone has to go on site to review the progress. We have seen it come down by 90% as this data is available, and you can use the tools which are available on the cloud platform to be able to monitor construction progress much more efficiently. We also have deployed this in the oil and gas sector, where we use drones to survey pipeline routes and be able to identify encroachments along pipeline routes of vegetation or buildings or construction or any digging which is happening. And these kind of analytics are also available to be run automatically on the platform to operate these infrastructure much more efficiently. Lastly, Skydeck, we've kept it very transparent. You can actually go to this link today and sign up for a free trial. There's a 14-day trial which is available, without any payment or credit cards, etc., which are required. You can sign up for a free trial even today itself, and be able to use the platform and see how it could be useful for your application. We are also continuously listening to feedback in terms of what people need, and it would be valuable for us to gather any feedback that you have about the platform, or what it can be used for, or what features you would like on the platform. But yes, it's available today to try out. In fact, also our pricing is also public. We've kept it very open and transparent. So you can actually go and see what this would look like in terms of return on investment for your application. So that's, I think, all I had to cover. If there are any questions, we can take it up in the Q&A section.
Thank you, Neil. That was a wonderful presentation, because as a user of drone technology, we are always worried about the logistics. I got 10 teams on the ground. We've got 15 batteries. We've got so many hard disks on the ground. How to move things where? So personally, I believe Skydeck is solving so many other problems, and especially if you're talking about the turnaround time in less than 24 hours of processing the data, I would suggest all the 200 plus members who are here in this meeting to at least log in, see the free trial, and then take home the lessons learned. And now we come to the most interesting part also of the session, that is the question answers. The success of a webinar or of a meeting is always in the quality of the questions, and we have some excellent questions over here. And we have one from Mr. Gaurav Rahul, and a very excellent question. How do experts in this panel and chat foresee the future regulations shaping up the adoption of drones for GIS and urban development, and what should be the companies be prepared for? Wonderful question, Gaurav. And I believe the best person to answer this will be Mr. Pradeep Singh here, the Deputy Surveyor General of Survey of India. Over to you, sir. Please.
Yes, thank you. Yes, nice question. So I will try to answer maybe to what extent I have understood the question. But first thing is the drone regulations. So already the drone rules are in place, and I think drone rules have also evolved thrice in 2 years. During when we started this Swamitu program and other projects with the state of Maharashtra and Haryana, there were a lot of challenges in drone flying, even for procurement of drones also. But then the drone rules and other related policies evolved with these projects, and most importantly, along with the Swamitu program, which was being monitored at the highest level, and then the policy came. So drone rules as of now is providing a very conducive environment for flying drones for the geospatial data acquisition at any resolution. Now, the road ahead for future is that from industry, what we need is like the challenges which were demonstrated by Mr. Neil Mehta from Asteria, very nicely, various challenges like the lack of having a centralized planning and monitoring system for, say, at one point of time under Swamitu scheme, we had deployed more than 300 drone teams on the ground. So you can think of the challenge of centrally planning all the flights of these drones, then getting data from field to office, or uploading data directly from field to cloud for data processing. Then enforcing SOPs and quality control mechanism in these workflows. These were the challenges. So entirely, if we see that in the last 3-4 years, we were also looking for a solution which is seamless, and the entire workflow, we have like seamless connectivity. We acquire the data, we transport the data from there to office or to a centralized location such as cloud. We process it there, we derive the information out of this data, we extract the features of this data. So from industry as of now, the requirement is of such kind of solution as demonstrated right now, this Skydeck, which is a cloud-based solution. And these will be required for management of entire workflow for drone-based data capturing, then processing, and then deriving the information out of those images, and then disseminating data to different users. So, thank you. Maybe I have answered the question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that. We have one from Dr. Ajay Mathur. Very interesting question again, and a very practical one, because his question is, are there any type certified drones available in India? We have been trying for long. Well, in my opinion, we do have many type certified drones, but over to you, Neil. Could you please take that question?
Yeah, there are a number of type certified drones which are available, which also have survey and mapping capabilities. At this point, also there are a lot of type certified drones for agricultural spraying operations, but that's outside the scope. But there are, I think, as of today, there must be about 30, more than 30 type certified drones which are available, and you can see this on Digital Sky. So DGC has a website called Digital Sky. You can find out all the type certified drones there, and they list the end use and application also, and that data is also available, so you can easily refer that.
Perfect. We have one from Mr. Ram. He says, how drone technology is useful at the time of urban flooding? Well, in my opinion, it is very useful because we particularly, I come from a company known as Sikon, and we have used that in Chennai. In Chennai, there is a real-time flood forecasting system, and drones have been used extensively in that, because only three types of resolutions would be required. That is LiDAR, which is very expensive. A drone platform can give us better this one. So the DEM, which is generated from a drone, and which we use in our models for hydrological models, is extremely useful in urban flooding. Now, there is a question from Mr. Dinesh Babu. Any restrictions on data storage in Skydeck Cloud? Over to you, Neil.
Uh, there is no restriction in terms of data storage, except of course there are data limits, and this depends on the plan that you choose. So we have a light plan, we have a kind of standard plan, and a extended plan. You can choose as per your requirement what is the data storage that you need, and also this is completely scalable. So we offer additional storage, and the price for that is also listed. And if you have larger requirements than what is listed on the website, then you can contact us for an enterprise plan which is suited to your requirements.
Excellent. We have one question from Jenny Sharrock. Can data be imported into Esri? Neil, again, please.
So data is exportable in number of standard formats. So you can export it and use it in any GIS platform. We have done a tight integration as of now with QGIS, where with a simple plugin you can actually share data between Skydeck and QGIS, which could be hosted on your workstation. And similarly, we are also exploring with Esri. I'm sure that that also will be something, if customers require, we will be able to do that.
Thank you, Neil. We have one question from Amisha Bhargava. She says, what role do you see instant drone imagery playing in comparison to traditional satellite or aerial imagery for urban development and land mapping? May I request Mr. Pradeep Singh, sir?
Yes, the answer is very simple. If we know that the satellite imagery is also a source of geospatial information for quite a long time, but the difference is in the resolution it provides. So world over, if we see the satellite sensors, till it we have not gone much finer than 30 centimeter or 25 centimeter. That also coverage is a limitation. So as of now, if we demand for India from even Cartosat satellites also, the coverage is not for entire country. So this drone platform complements or fits or fills that gap in providing very high resolution images of the order of even better than 3 to 2 centimeter resolution also, and which is required for urban mapping and also generating digital twins, which is the requirement for future urban landscape development planning and monitoring the infrastructure.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. And just to add to that, Amisha Bhargava, the point is that there is always a trade-off between cost and resolution. When we are using the cheapest of the imagery, that is the satellite imagery, there is always a trade-off. We use either platforms of satellite-based platforms, fixed-wing platforms, that is the plane platforms, or we are talking about the drone platforms right now, where the cost is definitely in their favor. Next question is from Dinesh Babu, and very interesting question. He's saying, who is the owner of the data if it is as it is posted on the cloud server? He means Skydeck. Neil. So what I believe is he's talking about the privacy of his data and the ownership of the data which comes on to Skydeck. Important question, please.
Yeah, the data set is with the organization that has opened an account on Skydeck. In fact, even our customer support people don't have access to that organization and the data. So it stays with that organization, and it is you know if it's up to you. If you delete it from your account, if you close your account, there is a certain period where the data will be available for those policies are listed, and then it will be purged. But we don't have access to any of the data that is captured by any user or account.
Okay, and one very innocent question. There is a Skydeck platform. Will it work with any drone or only with Asteria drone, since they have
It,
also
yeah.
manufactured?
No, it's definitely built to accommodate any drone, not Asteria drones only. Um, the piloting workflows are probably right now tightly integrated to Asteria drones, and we are opening it up slowly to include more drones. But once the data is captured, the cloud is agnostic of what drone it is captured from.
Okay. I just saw a question that is from Mr. Babu, I believe. His question was, can he integrate data from fixed wing that is plane platforms also, or only drone platforms?
Oh, it's an interesting question. I mean, honestly, we haven't tried this. As long as it is aerial imagery and can go through a photogrammetry workflow, it should work. But we'll be happy to work with you to try out, that particular use case if required.
Absolutely. And since I'm getting a flavor of these questions, I would like to highlight one thing which Neil said. That is, this is a METI compliant server they are hosting the data on. And so the data privacy concerns which everyone may have regarding their own data is absolutely taken care of. I mean,
Yes.
even the data localization content, the laws that applies to that are also applicable to that. So
Yeah.
please feel safe about the data that is being used by Skydeck.
Yeah.
And what are the formats in which drone image can be processed? Not very clear, but could you take that, Neil, please?
Currently, we process RGB imagery, which is used for most surveying mapping applications, as well as multispectral imagery, which is used for some agricultural applications. We are, like I said, planning to integrate LiDAR data as well as thermal camera data also in the next few months on the platform. But currently, we support RGB and multispectral imagery.
Excellent, excellent. I hope, Sakshi, we are within the time limits.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank you, man. I'll take this advantage of a couple more minutes, since we have around 200 plus people and we have the august presence of Mr. Pradeep Singh also. That is from where you see, sir, from a policymaker kind of a perspective, with your interactions with the government, your interactions to the industry, your interactions with the individual industries also, because we have some brilliant startups among us as participants. We have some GIS professionals among us who as participants. Meaning, from you, we would like to hear a couple of words like how should we keep ourselves ready for the things that are going to happen in future. May not be a very cut and dry question. Just a hint would suffice from you, sir. Please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this question. As I mentioned in my talk also that geospatial industry will be invariably used in all the geospatial activities undertaken by any government agency. And if we see in the last 4 to 5 years, whatever projects has been undertaken by Survey of India for different ministries, central government departments, state government departments, in all these projects, industry has played a crucial role. So by industry, mean geospatial industry. And we have worked with more than 20-25 industry companies, and they have contributed well. And you can gauge from this. I will just share some figures that, like under Swamitu, you already mentioned in the brief, that more than 3 lakh villages has been covered using drone-based mapping. So this is one kind of exercise and a unique exercise which will never happen on this planet or on this globe. because no one would imagine to complete the drone-based mapping of more than 3 lakh villages, and that too we have, I think, accomplished in last 2.5 years. Uh, in between, we had a COVID-19 also, and that has huge impact on field operations. But then also, like at one point of time, more than 300 drone teams were deployed on the ground, and about 30 to 40% teams were provided by the geospatial industry. And drones which we procured were mostly by the Indian manufacturers. So that is one fact and figure where geospatial industry has played a very crucial and significant role in collecting this high resolution data in more than 3 lakh Abadi areas and in more than 3 lakh villages in this country, thus benefiting the huge population which you mentioned is like about 60% population lives in rural areas. Then other projects in Haryana with the government of Haryana, we had undertaken the survey or resurvey project, wherein about 40,000 square kilometer has been captured using drones alone. Then in Karnataka, in Andaman Nicobar, uh, then in Andhra Pradesh, if we combine all this area, more than 1,10,000 square kilometer has been captured using drones in last 3 years. So again, that is a huge figure in India. The data collected by a single organization using the drones procured from Indian geospatial companies or Indian manufacturers, and deploying the drone teams from drone service providers, again from the Indian companies. So that has been the contribution of geospatial industry in using this emerging technology for capturing the data which is suitable for photogrammetric processes and coming up with the high resolution ortho rectified images and the elevation information. Now for future, lot of projects are coming up. Government is also now government has also acknowledged by notifying the guidelines in National Geospatial Policy that geospatial sector is crucial for thriving digital economy, and it will be definitely one of the important sectors which will again contribute the government of India vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047. And for that, government and industry has to work together. And as far as my information is concerned, for the consumption of your information, I can share that whatever initiatives Survey of India is taking, we are taking them only after consultation with the industry. When guidelines were notified, we had conducted twice the industry consultations, that how we can build a roadmap for building the geospatial infrastructure in this country, and how to go about it, what we should do, what are all those players out in the market who can help us in building that geospatial infrastructure. Then in last year, October, also we had a good, wonderful workshop wherein geospatial industry also participated. Again, we were thinking about the having much more clarity with that roadmap, where geospatial industry is one of the important partner in that roadmap. And as of now, also, whatever initiatives we are taking, we are consulting industry for, such as recently we had floated expression of interest for the Geo platform or SOI Geo portal. So therein also we have received a lot of responses from the geospatial industry. So what is mentioned there in the National Geospatial Policy, that can only be achieved with the active or proactive involvement of geospatial industry, means Indian geospatial industry. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those encouraging words, because we have always been proud of some of the things India has done. One, we used to wait for 14 to 15 years for a fixed telephone connection, and now we can get it in 3 minutes. Extremely proud of that. Including the digital payment system, where we are having digital payment systems everywhere. India is known to be a world beater, and hopefully, and as you rightly said, for the first time, 3 lakh villages have been surveyed by drone, and property cards issued. There also, India will be a world beater. We are very sure of that. And given the kind of enthusiasm that is being showed by Survey of India in implementing these policies, we really compliment you that. And on behalf of all the GIS, I would say, ecosystem and these participants, we are really thankful for that. And Neil, Skydeck, it's really impressive. The problem it seeks to solve is excellent. I mean, this is really what is the need of the hour for sure, because people don't want to invest in hardware like, say, a high processing desktop if that is available on lease from Skydeck, including all. In short, if the ROI of the person who is using Skydeck can increase with the increase in quality, that's excellent. I think with that, we have come to the end of the questions. Also, very interesting questions, very nice participation from the participants. Sakshi, anything else from you, or shall we close?
Yes, sir. I think we can close. So maybe if you could just summarize in 1 to 2 lines, and we can thank everybody for such an active participation.
Thank you, Sakshi. Frankly, I mean, this summarization is we have summarized because we have got two very excellent viewpoints, and we have had very intelligent questions also coming in from everybody. A very practical part is like, if we are going to achieve Viksit Bharat by 2047, how is the government thinking? Seriousness of it? How are we going to go about it? Very clearly articulated by Mr. Pradeep Singh, Deputy Surveyor General, Survey of India. Thank you so much for that. And for all the GIS enthusiasts and for all the brilliant startups which are over here in the conversation, a platform like Skydeck, which can really increase your return on investments, because one thing we are all deficient in is capital resources. We want to do more with less, and Skydeck is going to do that for you. I think immediately all of you should really log in, have a kind of a test account, see it out, and please give them the feedback for that. And if you need further feedback, you can always call back upon us. We can take it forward. Thank you all. Thank you one and all for joining this very interesting seminar and making this a success. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.